June 12, 1790, Alençon, a quiet provincial town in northwestern France. Just after dawn, under a pale blue sky thick with summer haze, a brilliant object tore across the heavens like a cannonball on fire. Witnesses described it as a glowing sphere trailing sparks, hissing as it descended, before exploding against a wooded hillside with a deafening roar that shook the ground. Farmers dropped their tools, children screamed, townspeople rushed to the crash site, expecting to find the remains of a meteor. Instead, they were met with scorched earth, shattered trees, and something stranger. Metallic debris, oddly warm to the touch, was scattered across the clearing, and then, from the wreckage, something moved. According to the shocked onlookers, and later, a formal report by Police Inspector Leaf, a small humanoid figure, enveloped in shimmering material, briefly emerged before disappearing into the nearby forest. In an era ruled by reason and revolution, what had just happened here? A celestial accident, or the first documented UFO crash on Earth? To uncover what truly unfolded in the hills of Alençon that summer morning, we need to examine the evidence that history nearly forgot. In the waning years of the 18th century, France was a nation teetering on the edge of radical change. The Enlightenment had spread ideas of science and reason, but daily life in provincial towns like Alençon moved to a quieter rhythm, rooted in farming, family, and faith. It was a place of cobbled streets, murmuring marketplaces, and small churches that rang out the hours like clockwork. Alençon was known for its lacework and modest prosperity. Its people were practical: blacksmiths, bakers, field workers, accustomed to the pace of sun season. Most had little time for the abstract debates raging in Paris. Revolution might have been stirring in the cities, but in Alençon, the concerns were simpler: harvests, weather, rumors of war. One man stood out not for his politics, but for his profession. Inspector Leaboeuf, a police official well regarded for his diligence and steadiness. He kept detailed records and was not prone to fantasy. Those who knew him described him as rational and reserved, the sort of man who believed more in ledgers than legends. He was not someone easily rattled, and yet, in the weeks leading up to the strange event that would rock the town, a few quiet murmurs had begun to surface. Shepherds spoke of unusual flashes on the horizon during clear nights. A farmer swore he heard a loud humming in the hills, like metal grinding far off in the woods, though he found nothing when he went to look. These accounts were brushed aside, attributed to fatigue or local superstition. Even Leaboeuf, when first approached by villagers, unsettled by distant lights and strange tremors, advised calm. There was no precedent for concern, no cause for alarm, but everything changed with the crash. Whatever skepticism lingered evaporated when dozens saw it with their own eyes. Whatever had fallen from the sky that morning was real, tangible, terrifying, and Inspector Leaboeuf would soon find himself documenting something that defied not only reason, but the very boundaries of 18th century understanding. Morning had barely broken when it happened. Alençon's townspeople were just beginning their day, opening shutters, tending livestock, preparing for market. The air was warm and still, the kind of calm that usually promises nothing but routine. Then came the sound, an unnatural, deep rumbling overhead. Some said it resembled distant thunder. Others insisted it was closer, more mechanical, like grinding metal echoing from the clouds. Within seconds, all eyes turned skyward. There, cutting through the morning light, was a blazing object, glowing red and white, moving at incredible speed across the sky. It wasn't falling in the way a star or comet might streak and vanish. This was different, controlled, deliberate. A glowing sphere. Some said it resembled a flaming globe, others a burning carriage, left a trail of dense smoke and sparks as it veered, slowed, and finally crashed into a hillside just beyond the town's edge. The explosion was deafening. Dust and debris shot into the air, and for a moment, the ground itself seemed to tremble. People screamed, animals scattered. But despite the fear, many residents ran toward the blast, driven by shock, curiosity, or something harder to explain. What they found was no ordinary impact site. The hill was scorched black. Trees near the crash zone were snapped and smoldering. Patches of grass had ignited and quickly burned out, leaving an acrid scent in the air. And scattered across the scene were fragments of what some described as metal. Shiny, oddly shaped pieces that shimmered in the morning light. But they weren't like anything the townspeople recognized. They didn't resemble cannon parts or anything from a blacksmith's forge. Some who touched them said they were strangely warm. Others claimed they made a faint humming sound, even while lying still. Then came the moment few would ever speak of aloud. From the smoking crater, something moved. Several witnesses, common villagers not known for fantasy, described seeing a small figure rise from the debris. It was humanoid, they said, but not entirely human. Wrapped in a kind of silvery cloth, it appeared dazed, struggling briefly before disappearing into the woods. No one dared pursue it. Some stood frozen. Others fell to their knees, crossing themselves. Inspector Liebeuf arrived on the scene shortly after. His official report, once sealed in government archives, offers a rare account. He noted the heat, the unusual material, and the confusion of the townspeople. He did not mention the being, only that there were claims of a presence that fled, but others were less reserved. Word spread quickly through the region that something not of this world had fallen from the sky. Fear gave way to fascination. Was it a sign? A punishment? A visitation? No one could agree. But one thing was certain. Nothing known to man had ever behaved this way, neither in flight nor in destruction. And the deeper authorities looked into what had crashed outside Alençon, the more elusive the answers became. In the days following the explosion outside Alençon, confusion reigned. The local population buzzed with talk of the glowing object, the strange materials found at the crash site, and the figure that vanished into the woods. But among authorities, responses were far more cautious. Inspector Liebeuf's official report was meticulous. He noted scorched earth, broken vegetation, and scorched stones that remained warm long after the fire had been extinguished. Fragments described as metallic yet lightweight were collected. But curiously, none were ever officially catalogued or preserved. Liebeuf also mentioned the emotional state of the witnesses: shocked, trembling, some nearly incoherent. Yet his language remained careful. Hints of the truly anomalous were buried beneath bureaucratic understatement. No major publication reported on the event at the time. France, gripped by social unrest and the rumblings of revolution, had little room for stories of falling stars or celestial beings. Any investigation that might have followed was either deprioritized or deliberately forgotten. Those who witnessed the crash described the same glowing object and the same mysterious heat. But when asked about the figure, opinions diverged. Some swore they saw it rise from the debris, a small, limping being cloaked in silver light. Others saw only smoke and wreckage, attributing rumors to fear and confusion. And then came the theories. Natural explanations dominated the earliest commentary. Skeptics suggested a meteorite or a ball lightning phenomenon. Others speculated the object was debris from an early scientific experiment, perhaps even a failed Montgolfier-style balloon, though no known design matched the description or behavior. Ufologists, however, would later claim this incident as one of the earliest proto-crash events in recorded history. Some argue the Alençon case predates the famous 1947 Roswell incident by over 150 years, and yet shares startling similarities: an apparent controlled descent, strange materials, and a possible non-human occupant. Others are more circumspect. French historian and science writer Jacques Vallée once noted that the 1790 case reflects an important pattern in high strangeness events, cases that occur in eras unprepared to interpret them, only to be reframed centuries later through the lens of advancing technology and belief. Still, questions remain. Why did no further documentation emerge? Why was Liebeuf's report buried for over a century before being rediscovered in French archives? And if something truly anomalous had occurred, why did it vanish so completely from public record? Some say the timing is the answer. With the French Revolution about to erupt, priorities shifted. Others believe the story was simply too strange to survive the rational worldview dominating the Enlightenment. No conclusive proof was ever produced. No debris remains in any public collection, and the identity of the silvery figure, if it ever existed, was never found. But those who were there remembered, and long after the smoke cleared, they whispered about what they'd seen that morning, with awe, fear, and with questions no one could answer. Even now, over 2 centuries later, the hillside near Alençon holds no plaque, no marker, just an enduring silence, and yet the story refuses to fade. Centuries have passed, yet the mystery that unfolded near the quiet hills outside Alençon refuses to be buried. No official records ever accounted for the object's origin. No explanation has ever convincingly addressed the glowing descent, the unnatural heat, or the figure that witnesses claimed emerged from the wreckage. Inspector Liebeuf's report remains the only surviving document, and even it raises more questions than it answers. For those who lived through that strange morning, the memory never faded. Some spoke of it in hushed tones to their grandchildren. Others never mentioned it again, as if afraid that voicing the event might somehow make it real all over again. What exactly did the people of Alençon witness? A misunderstood natural phenomenon? A forgotten scientific experiment? Or something far less earthly? And if the figure they described was real, was it injured? Was it trying to communicate? Or simply trying to escape? In the absence of evidence, interpretation becomes personal. Was this an early contact, long before we had the language to even describe it? Or are we seeing patterns in smoke where none exist? The truth, whatever it is, remains as elusive as the figure that vanished into the woods that morning. Some mysteries are meant to be solved, others are meant to endure. What's your theory? Let us know your thoughts below. And until next time, keep questioning, keep looking up. Was the Alençon crash a misunderstood natural event, an early experiment lost to history, or something not of this earth? Share your theory in them.